There lived a man named Daniel Green. Daniel was known for his sharp mind and a relentless drive to succeed. From a young age, he dreamed of making a name for himself. He spent his days studying hard and his nights working part-time jobs to save money for college. His parents, proud yet worried, often reminded him to take breaks. But Daniel was focused. He wanted more than anything to be successful. After graduating from a prestigious university, Daniel landed a job at a top financial firm. At first, he was overjoyed. He worked long hours, often staying late to impress his boss. His determination paid off when he quickly climbed the corporate ladder. In just a few years, he became a manager. Everyone around him admired his work ethic, and he was earning a handsome salary. As Daniel climbed higher in his career, he started to lose sight of what truly mattered. He spent less time with his parents, who had always supported him. They called him often, wanted to catch up, but Daniel was always busy with meetings or deadlines. He missed birthdays and family gatherings, convincing himself that it was all for a better future. His best friend, Carlos, worried about him. "Daniel," he would say, "you're working too hard. Life isn't just about work. What about your friends? What about fun?" But Daniel brushed off his concerns with a wave of his hand. "I'll have time for fun when I reach my goals," he would reply, not realizing how much he was missing out on. Years passed, and Daniel continued to chase after promotions and bonuses. He bought a luxurious apartment in the heart of the city, filled with expensive furniture and gadgets. Yet, despite his material successes, he felt a sense of emptiness inside. His apartment felt more like a lonely cage than a home. He sat alone on weekends, scrolling through his social media, watching his friends enjoy their lives while he worked tirelessly. One fateful day, as Daniel was finalizing a big project at work, he received a call. It was from his sister, Emily. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Daniel, it's Mom. She's in the hospital. It's serious." In that moment, everything stopped. His heart raced, and the tight knot in his stomach tightened even more. He rushed to the hospital, his mind racing with fear and guilt. When he arrived, he found his parents sitting in a small room. His mother lay on a bed, tired but smiling as he entered. "Daniel, you made it," she whispered, her voice weak. He rushed to her side, holding her hand tightly. The doctors told him that she needed surgery, and they had to wait. Hours passed like days. As he sat with his family, watching the worry on his father's face and the pain in his mother's eyes, Daniel felt an overwhelming sense of regret. He realized that in his pursuit of success, he had taken his parents for granted. They were getting older, and he seldom showed them how much he cared. They had sacrificed so much for him, yet his focus had been solely on climbing the corporate ladder. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor entered the room. "The surgery was successful, but we need to keep her under observation for a few days," he said. Daniel took a deep breath, feeling a small wave of relief wash over him. But as he looked at his mother, sleeping peacefully, he made a promise to himself. He would change. The days that followed were hard, but they allowed Daniel to rethink his life. He took a week off work to stay with his parents as they recovered. During this time, he laughed and shared stories with them, reliving memories he had long forgotten. They made silly jokes together and prepared simple meals, moments that filled his heart with warmth. After returning to work, Daniel found it hard to slip back into his old routine. His boss had expected him to jump right back into grind, but Daniel was different now. He began to realize that success meant more than just climbing the corporate ladder. It meant cherishing the people he loved. Slowly, he cut back on his hours, choosing to work smarter rather than harder. He started using his evenings to reconnect with Carlos, who had always been there for him, and even made time for casual outings with colleagues. He also scheduled regular phone calls with his parents, making sure to visit them more often. As weeks turned into months, Daniel noticed a change in himself. He no longer felt empty or alone. Instead, he was filled with a sense of joy. He had found a balance between work and life. He no longer sought validation through his job alone. Instead, he found satisfaction in building stronger relationships. One sunny afternoon, Daniel decided to organize a family picnic. He invited his parents, Emily, and even Carlos. They gathered in a local park, laughter ringing through the air as they played games and shared stories. For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt truly happy. He watched his family interact, and an overwhelming sense of gratitude filled him. Later that evening, as they packed up to leave, his mother turned to him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for this day, Daniel. It means the world to us," she said. Daniel embraced her tightly, feeling her love all around him. At that moment, he knew that he had finally found what truly mattered. Daniel no longer chased after success alone. Instead, he chased moments filled with love, joy, and laughter. He understood that while success was important, family and friendship were the true treasures of life. And as he watched the sunset that day, he felt a deep sense of peace, knowing he had made the right choice. John, a driven businessman. Emily, John's caring wife. David, John's loyal friend. Sarah, John's ambitious colleague. John was a man possessed. From the moment he graduated top of his class, his life was a relentless pursuit of success. He envisioned a future adorned with wealth, power, and recognition. He chased these dreams with fervor that bordered on obsession, sacrificing everything else at the altar of ambition. His wife, Emily, was his anchor, a warm and loving presence in his increasingly frantic life. They had met in college, drawn together by a shared love for books and quiet evenings. Emily, a talented artist, saw the good in everyone, a quality that John had once admired. But as the years flew by, John's ambition began to overshadow their connection. He worked late, traveled frequently, and when he was home, his mind was always elsewhere, strategizing his next move, calculating his next deal. "John, we haven't had dinner together in weeks," Emily would say, her voice laced with a gentle sadness. "I know, honey, I'm sorry," he'd reply, his eyes glued to his phone. "But this deal is crucial. It could change everything." And it always seemed to be the same story. One more deal, one more promotion, one more step closer to the elusive summit of success. Emily tried to understand, to support him, but the distance between them grew wider with each passing day. David, John's oldest friend, watched with growing concern as John transformed from a bright-eyed idealist into a driven workaholic. They had been inseparable since childhood, sharing dreams and secrets under the vast summer sky. But now, John was a stranger, consumed by a world that David didn't recognize. "Remember when we talked about opening a small bookstore together?" David asked one afternoon, trying to rekindle their old camaraderie. John chuckled, a hollow sound devoid of genuine amusement. "That was a lifetime ago, David. We were kids with silly dreams. This is the real world." David sighed, a wave of disappointment washing over him. He saw the hunger in John's eyes, the insatiable need for more, and he knew that their friendship was slowly fading away. At work, John was a force to be reckoned with. He climbed the corporate ladder with ruthless efficiency, leaving a trail of exhausted colleagues and broken promises in his wake. Sarah, a sharp and ambitious woman, was his closest ally. They shared a similar drive, a mutual understanding of the sacrifices required to reach the top. "You got what it takes, John," Sarah said one evening, as they worked late into the night. "You're going to be running this company one day." John smiled, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. "That's the plan, Sarah. That's always been the plan." He poured all his energy into a career, sacrificing his personal life for the sake of professional advancement. He missed birthdays, anniversaries, and countless opportunities to connect with Emily and David. His world narrowed, focusing solely on spreadsheets, presentations, and power lunches. Years passed in the blur of board meetings and business trips. John achieved everything he had set out to accomplish. He was wealthy, powerful, and respected. He had reached the summit. But as he stood there, looking out at the vast expanse below, he felt a profound sense of emptiness. One cold evening, John returned home to an empty house. Emily had left a note on the kitchen counter. "John, I can't do this anymore." It read, "I've waited for you to come back to me, but you're lost in a world I don't understand. I need more than fleeting moments and empty promises. I need a partner, a companion, a love that is present, not just a distant memory. I'll always cherish the good times we shared, but it's time for me to move on." John crumpled the note in his hand, a wave of nausea washing over him. He had been so focused on chasing success that he had failed to notice his marriage crumbling around him. He had lost a woman he loved, the woman who had been his rock, his confidant, his everything. The next day, David came to visit. He found John sitting in the living room, surrounded by unopened boxes and forgotten memories. "I heard about Emily," David said softly, his voice filled with compassion. "I'm so sorry, John." John looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of grief and regret. "I messed up, David," he whispered. "I was so busy chasing my dreams that I forgot what truly mattered." David sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "It's not too late to change, John. It's not too late to rediscover what you've lost." In the following weeks, John began to reevaluate his life. He resigned from his high-powered position, shocking his colleagues and leaving Sarah to take the reins. He sold his lavish penthouse and moved into a small cottage by the sea. He spent his days reading, painting, and taking long walks along the beach. He reached out to Emily, hoping to mend their broken bond. They met for coffee, and John listened intently as she spoke about her new life, her art, and her newfound sense of peace. He didn't try to defend his past actions or make excuses for his behavior. He simply listened, acknowledging the pain he had caused and expressing his genuine remorse. Emily saw a change in him, a vulnerability that had been hidden for years beneath layers of ambition and arrogance. She saw a man who was finally ready to confront his mistakes and rebuild his life on a foundation of love and compassion. It took time, patience, and a willingness to forgive, but slowly, tentatively, John and Emily began to rebuild their relationship. They rediscovered their shared love for books, their passion for art, and their deep connection to each other. John also rekindled his friendship with David. They spent hours reminiscing about their childhood adventures, laughing at old jokes, and dreaming of new possibilities. John finally understood that true success wasn't measured in dollars and cents, but in the quality of his relationships, the depth of his connections, and the richness of his experiences. He never became the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but he found a different kind of success, a success that was far more meaningful and fulfilling. He learned that the pursuit of happiness is not a solitary race to the top, but a shared journey with those we love. He discovered that the greatest rewards in life are not found in boardrooms and balance sheets, but in the simple moments of connection, the quiet acts of kindness, and the unwavering bonds of love and friendship. John spent the rest of his days cherishing every moment with Emily and David. He volunteered at a local charity, helping those less fortunate than himself. He found joy in giving back to his community and making a positive impact on the world. He had spent his life chasing success, only to realize that he had lost what truly mattered. But in the end, he found his way back, and in doing so, he discovered a life that was richer, deeper, and more meaningful than he could have ever imagined. His journey was a testament to the power of redemption, the importance of connection, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Once upon a time, in a bustling city lived a man named Thomas. He was known for his hard work and ambition. From a young age, Thomas dreamed of being successful. He wanted a big house, a fancy car, and a reputation that made him admired by all. He spent his days working long hours at a marketing firm, climbing the corporate ladder, always chasing the next big promotion. Thomas had friends, but they often faded into the background. Every weekend, instead of relaxing or spending time with loved ones, he attended business events, tried to network and find new opportunities. His friend Sophia often tried to convince him to join her at the local art gallery or simply have a coffee together. "Life is more than work, Thomas," she would say, her eyes trying to reach his heart. But he just smiled and told her he was busy. One chilly evening, as Thomas was leaving the office, he received a message from his boss. "You've done great work these past few months. Let's talk about a promotion tomorrow." His heart raced with excitement. This was it, the culmination of all his hard work. He could almost feel the golden badge of success on his chest. That night, Thomas couldn't sleep. His mind spun with thoughts of what the promotion would mean. More money, more status, and more everything he had ever desired. As he lay in bed, visions of a high-rise apartment danced in his mind. Yet, in the back of his heart lingered a small voice that asked, "But at what cost?" The next day, Thomas met his boss, Mr. Carter, in a sleek conference room. The promotion was offered, just as he had hoped, but it came with a catch. He would have to move to another city. The thought filled him with mixed emotions. The idea of a new place was thrilling, but it meant leaving behind his friends, his life, and his comfort. Thomas, however, ultimately decided to take the job. Success is worth the sacrifice, he assured himself. As he settled into his new role, he worked harder than ever. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Thomas was living the fast-paced life he always desired. But as he climbed higher, he started to feel the weight of loneliness. Sophia had tried to visit, but he was too busy. His phone rang less often, and his circle of friends vanished like the morning mist. One lonely evening, Thomas sat in his luxury apartment and stared out at the city lights. He had everything he ever wanted, yet felt a deep emptiness inside. That's when he received a phone call from Sophia. "Hi, Thomas. I just wanted to see how you're doing," she said, her voice warm and caring. "I'm great," he replied, but it felt like a lie. "Are you happy?" she asked suddenly. Thomas hesitated. He wanted to tell her everything. The loneliness, the tiredness, the longing for the simple joys he had left behind. But instead he said, "Yeah, I'm successful." There was a pause on the other end. You can be successful and still be lonely. Just remember, the people who care about you matter more than your job. With that, she hung up. The words struck him hard. That night, he thought long and hard about his life. He remembered the laughter, the joy, and the warmth of friendship from his past. He missed the silly times with Sophia, like the time they painted pottery and made a mess, or the comfort just hanging out at the coffee shop and sharing dreams. Weeks passed, and the emptiness grew. Though he was busy, the shine of success began to fade. Thomas realized he had focused on the wrong things. Success without people to share it with felt hollow. He decided it was time to change. One crisp Saturday morning, Thomas made a plan. He would fly back home and reconnect with his friends. He wanted to show that he still cared, no matter how busy life became. He arrived back in his hometown with a flutter of excitement in his heart. First, he called Sophia. "T. Thomas, you're back!" she exclaimed, clearly surprised. "I am. Can we meet?" he asked, a bit nervous. "Of course. I've missed you," she replied cheerfully. They met at their old cafe, where it all began. The atmosphere was warm and filled with laughter as they shared old stories. Thomas felt something he had not in a long time, a connection. He explained how he felt lost in the chase for success. Sophia listened, nodding, her expression softening. "I'm glad you're back," she said. "Life is so much richer when shared." Thomas could finally breathe easier, a sense of peace washing over him. They spent that entire weekend catching up and reminiscing, exploring the city they once wanted together. They visited the art gallery, attended a local concert, and even tried a new restaurant. As they walked to the park, looking at families picnic and children playing, Thomas realized what truly mattered. The moments spent with those he cared about were the true successes in life. That evening, he made a promise to himself to balance work with the relationships that made life special. Days turned into weeks, and Thomas returned to his job re-energized. He enjoyed achievements, but no longer pushed people away. He started coordinating office events, encouraging everyone to bond and share experiences. Work became more enjoyable as he fostered a supportive environment. Months later, Thomas found himself happy, surrounded by friends at a small gathering in his apartment. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories. In that moment, Thomas recognized that he had not lost anything. He had only found what he truly valued: friendship, love, and happiness. Looking around at the faces, he knew chasing success was not about climbing the highest ladder. It was about holding on to the moments that mattered, and in that realization, he found true success.